Hi guys, it's Chris with City Girl Homestead. Time for supper. So I wanted to do a little bit of a chat before we get started. So the next few weeks, I want to do, I'm not going to do a no spend, nothing like that, because, you know, even with your loaded to the gills on your pantry, there's always something that you're missing. You know what I mean? It could be a spice, it could be something more important than that. Excuse me. And, but I want to use stuff that I've canned, leftovers that I have in my refrigerator, like, you know, partial things of barbecue sauce and things like that. I want to get used up. Things from my freezer, things that I bought at the Amish stores, stuff from my pantry, and try to cut my grocery bill as much as I can. It's not just that times are tough. It's not that at all. But, you know, with summer coming, you want to have a little bit of extra money so that maybe you can go do things too. So that's always a good point. But, you know, we can all these things and we preserve all these things, and then we don't show often what we can do with those things. And I think that that's really important. Now, the next few weeks, is everything going to be the healthiest? No. But in nowadays, when we're so worried about how we're going to feed our families, I think that healthy is very important, but I think that putting food in our families' bellies is also very, very important. So I'll forewarn you, not everything is going to be the healthiest that I'm going to do in the next few weeks here. So I know people are going to be like, Chris, that's not good for you and blah, blah, blah. But, you know, sometimes we do what we have to do. You know, I can remember being out on my own at first and eating dry cornflakes. That's all I had. You know, I mean, I had to make do with what I had. So I'm going to bring you along with today. I think it's going to be really, really good. So let's get down to it. I am going to make barbecued pulled pork nachos. I am going to take my last three pork loins that I have. I think I'm going to chop one up into chunks, and then the other two I'm going to can, because this pork has been so amazing that I want to use it. Does that make sense? Like, I want to use it. So, alright, so the first thing I have is obviously my pork. Now, I want this to be broken to littler pieces. You know, there is a way that you can do it if you want to keep big chunks. You can actually can it. You know, you fry it up just a little bit so it stays in more whole pieces, and then you can can it with liquid. But usually what I use it for is stuff that I'd break it up for anyway, so this is why I can it this way. You know, can for what accommodates your family the best and what you think you'd use it for. Because I often have to think about, like, what would I use it for? You know? And, like, I don't usually add spices to any of my meat, including my hamburger and stuff, because my oven's preheated. Because I never know what I'm going to use it for. You know what I mean? I could use it for spaghetti or taco or whatever. And if I seasoned it, it's kind of dedicated to doing, you know, one thing or the other. And so that's why I don't do that. I also don't cook with salt in it, because if I want to give, like, Courtney's mom and dad a quart of pork, you know, they have high blood pressure. They can't have the salt. So I don't want it to be salty. So, you know, those are things that you want to take into consideration when you're canning something. You know, just how you're going to use it, and, you know, different ways you're going to use it, and the different people that might be eating it. Because you don't want to not be able to share because you put too much of something in it. So I want to show it to you up close. Doesn't that look good? And you guys, this smells amazing. So I've got 2 bottles here I don't know how I ended up with 2 bottles, but you know what? I'm sure I'm not the only person in this world that has done that. And then you're like, how did I end up with 2 bottles? And then you got 2 bottles that are taking up room in your fridge and not being used. And you know, like this Sweet Baby Ray's, that stuff is expensive. You don't want to have to, you know, waste it because it's expensive. Now I did get it on sale, and I stocked up a few on it, but you know, what if it's not on sale? Then you're paying a lot of money, and you know, that stuff will eventually go bad in your refrigerator. And you don't want that either. Now, the reason I'm going to use both of these is because that was really good. I want it to be sloppier, if that makes any sense. I don't want it to be super dry. Let's see if this will do it. And then I get some more stuff out of my refrigerator too. Because I truly like, and I want to make this into a no-waste kitchen as much as I can. Because, you know, I've looked up more, and you guys, we waste so much food. And America's the worst. But I'm sure it's like that in other countries too. We buy things and then, you know what, we don't use it or whatever, and then, yeah, it goes to waste. It goes to landfills. Instead of things that we're not going to use, you know, that we could maybe give away, you know, anything like that. Our leftovers, a lot of that stuff can be frozen up. We don't really have leftovers with Jack, but once in a while, you know, once in a while we will. So now there's 2 jars out of my fridge, which is a good thing. All right, now I'm going to heat this up. You don't have to, but I want it to be nice and hot for when I put it on. So I'm going to put it on the stove and get it to warming up. The other thing I don't like about my new stove is it makes noise when the oven's on. So you have to make sure you move that or something so that it doesn't make so much noise. Now these I bought for some other reason, and I didn't end up using them. So of course, you know, I had to trim up the ends and stuff, you know, and take off some leaves off of it. But that's okay because we're not going to let those go to waste. The onion part is still really good, and there's a lot of green that's still good. So I'm going to chop those up. I want to do in my cookbook, I want to come up with more stuff for Chris's creation, because, not because I just want to fill the cookbook up, which would be good too, but I want to think of things that, you know, maybe you have on hand too as well, and that, you know, we can use up some of the stuff we have. Because I don't know how many of you have had what I call the freezer monster. It's where the food goes to die, you know. And, whoops, we don't need pepper yet. And there's so much that goes to waste that we don't use. And that's really sad, honestly. So now, if you remember right, I know I keep crossing in front of you guys. I bought this big bag of chips Friday up at Pine View. It's 2 pounds for $1.99. Oh, these smell so good. And then, of course, if you got leftovers, you could always make a dip of some kind and have it for a snack at night. Tell you what I used to do when my kids were little is I'd take sour cream. Well, they weren't little, but I would take sour cream and salsa and mix it together And we would have that, like Thursday nights was a night that my son loved watching, I can't even think of the name of the show, Survivor. And I'd make that up and we could dip vegetables in it, or we could dip our chips into it, and they absolutely loved it. Now I'm going to make up Tom's separate so that it's not all broken apart like when we take it off the plates. So I'm going to make his up in his own hand-proof work tomorrow. I do always make sure that he's taken good care of, at least I try. I know people have questioned that, but I really do put him first. And then you can put the rest of it in a gallon baggie and, like I said, make it for munching on a night. Like, I think, you know what would be really good is if you took the sour cream salsa and beans and mix it together. I think that'd be really, really good. So let me get this warmed up. The video's already taken so long because my running mouth, you know how that works. And let that get heated up, and then I'll be right back. So guess what? I wasn't recording, and I did this. I can't believe I did that. So I took the rest of it, and I put them in this bag, and then I got the air out. And then I even used the little dinky pieces that were at the bottom of the bag, and I poured that over top of this because, you know, after you dip so long, then you kind of just use your fork anyway, and you just kind of scoop it up. That way I figure the little pieces won't go to waste either. Because I really, really, really want to get to the point where I'm not wasting or not using the food that I have, because that's just not good either. So I spread the pork around on the nachos. I've got Tom's little thing back there that I'm doing for his lunch tomorrow. I'm just going to spread this out just a little bit more. I looked up and I'm like, what? You're not recording. I don't do that too often, but once in a while you're like, how'd you do that, Chris? So now, like this point, for real, you can just do your shredded cheese if you want. But as you guys know, I recan cheese that comes in the can, the 10-pound can. So we're going to actually use that. I think it gets a lot more cheesy, and I like it. And I do have queso, so if I wanted it spicier, I could have actually used my queso for it too. And if you want to use other cheese to add to it, and maybe I will, I don't know, we'll see. I never know till I put everything together, guys. You should know that by now, right? And then I'll be like, oh, I changed my mind. I do that a lot. And Jack and Tom will be like, now what? Just because, you know, honestly, since starting my channel, food has become, well, I've always loved food, obviously, I'm a big girl, but it has become like a canvas in some ways, you know what I mean? Like, the love that I used to have for cooking is back, and creating and making it everything that I want it to be is back. And I love that. I miss that so much, because as a mom, you know, I cooked because I had to. I think I just got cheese on myself. So then, you know, by my earlier video, I do recan peppers as well. And so we're going to use some of my banana peppers. And this is a different fork, by the way. We'll get Tom's done first. That way I know his lunch is all ready. We don't have to worry about saving anything back because his is already done. And he doesn't have a bunch of broken up pieces, which he doesn't mind, but I like him to have a nice lunch too. And you don't have to add the peppers, but I was thinking about black olives, and Jack's like, I don't think you need those. He didn't want to go downstairs. But then I tricked him and I said, do you think that it would taste better with shredded cheese or with my bottled cheese? And he goes, the bottled. I go, well, I need you to go get me 2 of them then. But he did good. He actually brought me up one of the older jars. They're $8.24, so that was good. He's learning. Then I'm going to take those chopped up onions that I had, so those don't go to waste either. And we're going to put those all over the nachos. So take a look at that. Now I'm going to put them in a 350 oven. I'm going to put them in there for about 20 minutes so everything gets nice and hot and everything like that. And I'll be back. Hi, Tom.
Hello.
These are the
nachos.
barbecued pulled pork nachos from our canned pork.
Almost got it before it fell off.
What do you think?
Really good.
You want to open this for me? All right. You're going to try a pickled beet. Oh, you want me to feed you?
Mm-hmm.
Here, Jack, use your fork and get one.
You don't want to come out. Come on.
What do you think?
Pretty good.
Even though you don't like beets?
Yeah.
I think they're yummy. Now, the longer that you can them and let them sit, the more pickled that they become. So, do you like the barbecued pulled pork?
Yeah.
Alrighty. So, we're going to let the hungry men eat. You guys have a blessed night. Be a blessing, and goodbye, Tom.
Goodbye, Tom.
Bye, Jack.
Bye.
You guys have a great night.